Hello, and welcome. Find a comfortable spot, close your eyes, and let your mind drift into the quiet vastness of space. Tonight, we'll journey back to a time of incredible courage and ingenuity, a story of hope from the Apollo 13 mission. Let's travel together into the silent, star-filled darkness. In April 1970, three astronauts, Jim Lovell, Jack Swigert, and Fred Hayes, were more than 200,000 miles from Earth, gliding through the cosmic sea on their way to the moon. Their spacecraft, named Odyssey, was their home, a marvel of technology designed to carry them to lunar orbit and back. Everything was going according to plan. The crew was relaxed, performing routine tasks. Jack Swigert, following a request from Mission Control, flipped a switch to stir the cryogenic oxygen tanks. Then, a sudden jarring bang echoed through the spacecraft. A master alarm blared. Red lights flashed across the control panel. On the ground in Houston, flight controllers saw the spacecraft's power and oxygen levels plummeting. Jim Lovell's voice, steady but urgent, crackled through the speakers at Mission Control. "Houston, we've had a problem." An oxygen tank had exploded, crippling their command module, Odyssey. The ship that was supposed to take them to the moon and bring them safely home was dying. With their main spacecraft failing fast, a terrifying reality set in. They were stranded in the black emptiness between Earth and the moon, with limited power, dwindling oxygen, and a rapidly dropping temperature. Panic could have easily taken over, but it didn't. In the face of unimaginable adversity, a new plan began to form. A plan born of desperation and sheer human brilliance. Their only hope for survival was a small, fragile-looking craft docked to Odyssey. Its name was Aquarius. Aquarius was the lunar module, the lander designed to ferry two astronauts down to the lunar surface. It was never meant to support three men for a 4-day journey through deep space. It was built for a short 2-day trip to the moon's surface and back to orbit. It had limited power, minimal water, and a life support system designed for just 2 people. It was, in essence, a delicate spider, not a deep space cruiser. But now, it had to become their lifeboat. The decision was made. The crew had to abandon the dying Odyssey and move into Aquarius. Imagine squeezing into a space not much bigger than a small car, knowing it was your only refuge in the infinite void. The command module systems were shut down to conserve any remaining power for the final moments of re-entry, plunging the astronauts into cold and darkness. Once inside Aquarius, they powered up the small lander. Its systems hummed to life, a fragile heartbeat in the silent expanse. For the next 4 days, this tiny vessel would be their world. The challenges were immense. The first was navigation. Aquarius was not designed to navigate the long journey back to Earth. Its guidance system was rudimentary compared to Odyssey's. The crew, with help from the brilliant minds in Mission Control, had to perform a critical engine burn to swing their trajectory around the moon and aim for home. This maneuver had to be perfect. Flying blind, with only the Earth visible in a small window as a reference point, Jim Lovell manually controlled the thrusters. The engine fired, pushing them onto a path that would, hopefully, bring them back. The silence after the burn was deafening, filled with the unspoken question, did it work? It had. They were on their way home. But another, more insidious problem was emerging inside their tiny shelter. As the 3 men breathed, they exhaled carbon dioxide. Aquarius had a system to filter the air, but its canisters were square and were only designed to last for 2 days with 2 men. The dying command module, Odyssey, had plenty of spare canisters, but they were round. They wouldn't fit. The carbon dioxide levels inside Aquarius were rising to toxic levels. The crew was slowly being poisoned by their own breath. Back on Earth, engineers at Mission Control were in a race against time. They gathered a pile of materials identical to what the astronauts had on board. Cardboard from a flight plan cover, plastic bags, a sock, and lots of gray duct tape. They needed to invent a way to connect a square peg to a round hole, using only these items. For hours they worked, piecing together a makeshift adapter. Finally, they had a design. They radioed the instructions, step by step, to the exhausted crew. Millions of miles away, Fred Hayes carefully assembled the contraption. It looked strange, almost comical, but when he attached it, it worked. The carbon dioxide levels began to fall. The air was safe to breathe again. A roll of duct tape and human ingenuity had saved them. Life inside Aquarius was a test of endurance. The temperature dropped just above freezing. Water condensed on the walls, and the windows were frosted over. To conserve power, almost everything was turned off, plunging them into near total darkness. They had to ration water strictly, allowing themselves only a few sips a day, leading to severe dehydration. Sleep was nearly impossible in the cold, cramped quarters. Yet, through it all, they worked together. The crew in space and the team on the ground became one unit, bound by a shared mission: bring them home. As they neared Earth, one final, terrifying challenge remained. They had to leave their lifeboat, Aquarius, and reawaken the frozen, dead command module, Odyssey. No one knew if Odyssey's systems, dormant for 4 days in the freezing cold, would even power back on. The sequence of steps had to be performed perfectly, using the last drops of battery power. Following a new checklist written on the fly by Mission Control, Jack Swigert began flipping switches. One by one, Odyssey's systems flickered back to life. It was a miracle. Their ride home was alive. With Odyssey resurrected, it was time to say goodbye to their savior, Aquarius. They undocked from the Lunar Module and watched as it drifted away into space, a silent monument to their survival. Now, only the fiery plunge through Earth's atmosphere stood between them and home. The spacecraft, protected by its heat shield, streaked through the sky like a meteor. For several long minutes, radio communication was lost, a standard but always nerve-wracking part of re-entry. The world held its breath. And then, a voice. It was the crew. They were through. Soon, 3 small parachutes blossomed against the blue sky, and Odyssey splashed down gently into the Pacific Ocean. The astronauts of Apollo 13 were home. They had turned a near-certain disaster into what NASA called its successful failure. They never made it to the moon, but they made it back to Earth through sheer will, incredible teamwork, and the ingenious use of a tiny spacecraft that became the ultimate lifeboat. And so, as you drift off to sleep, remember the story of Aquarius. A reminder that even in the darkest, most desolate of places, hope can be found in the most unexpected shelters. It's a testament to what we can achieve when we refuse to give up, when we work together, and when we dare to find solutions in the face of the impossible. Sleep well and dream among the stars.